Hello everyone, and welcome back to my vlogging series where I discuss things that I find interesting and things that you guys have asked me about. Today's topic has been brought up a number of times in the comments. How important is it to live in a musical hub when pursuing a career as a musician? Most of us aren't born in places like LA, New York, or Nashville. The idea of moving from our hometown to these greener pastures crosses the minds of many. For someone like me who lives in the heart of Canada, far, far away from an entertainment capital, it's something I think about regularly. Today, I'm going to talk about my experiences and views on this, and hopefully you can take away something from that. I grew up in a city called Winnipeg, a city of about 700,000 people. There's some very cool stuff going on here, and don't get me wrong, I love my hometown, but it's a far cry from a major music city. I spent 5 years doing my music degree in Toronto, which as far as I'm concerned is Canada's music capital. Since then, I've spent a fair amount of time in both LA and Nashville, and I've considered moving to each of them. So when people ask me if they need to move to places like that, I tell them that they need to think deeply about their goals and how they intend to achieve them. The answer will be different for everyone. The great thing about the internet is that it makes it possible for someone like me to reach someone like you from my home in Winnipeg. This didn't exist before, and it makes it significantly easier to build a career from anywhere in the world. Having said that, I wouldn't have been able to acquire the skills and experience I have had I lived in a smaller city. Winnipeg is unique in the sense that there is nothing close by. The closest Canadian city with over 1 million people is a 12-hour drive away. Because of that, a lot of musicians stay here. It's not as easy as packing your car, driving for 2 hours, and you're in a major metropolis. And so the quality of the music scene is significantly better than to be expected of a population this size. With that comes great instructors and enough live music to inspire young guitarists like I once was. I gigged around the city a fair bit when I was a kid, and I was able to learn a lot from some amazing players. Since it's not too big here, I was able to get gigs that I never would have had I lived in a more saturated market like LA. On the flip side of that, there's a ceiling you can hit pretty quick. That ceiling is significantly higher in those bigger cities. So you've got to ask yourself, what do you want from music? Do you want to earn a modest income with a slim chance at anything bigger? If so, a smaller city could work for you, and with that modest income, you could probably do a lot more. One of the things that's so great about Winnipeg is that I know a number of musicians who not only own houses, but also own cabins. I can't say the same thing about New York. Cost of living can't be ignored. If I'm being honest, that's a big reason why I stay here. I found myself in a place where I can do what I do anywhere in the world, but living here affords me the luxury of my own spacious apartment where I can make noise at any hour of the day. Now, the potential opportunities in a major city can't be understated. For example, there are very few professional YouTubers here. There's something to be said about working with and learning from people who are further down the road than you. There are just countless more things that can happen for you in a big city, things you don't normally think of that go beyond being discovered. A few weeks ago when I was down in LA, I had the pleasure of shooting a video at the Gibson showroom. Another time when I was there through a series of fortunate events, I ended up shooting a video with Playboy. If things like that happen to me at the stage I'm at, imagine the things that could present themselves to someone significantly more successful. See, when you live in a city with a world-renowned entertainment scene, there are chance encounters that will happen that would never happen elsewhere. Let me tell you about the first time I was down in Nashville. I randomly crossed paths with a fellow writer who I quickly struck up a friendship with. He was in his early stages, but years later he's gone on to have a number of hits and a thriving career. Had I pursued writing, knowing someone like him would have been an invaluable asset. When you have a network of hungry, talented up-and-comers, you will open doors for each other as you progress. You're gonna have a tough time building something like that if you live in Grand Forks, North Dakota. And no offense to Grand Forks, it's the first place I thought of. I've driven through that place a million times. There's also something to be said about the excitement in a big city. On a nightly basis, you can hear the best musicians in the world. And I'm not talking about some really good local guy. I'm talking about Vince Gill, who regularly plays with the Time Stampers in Nashville. In New York, you can catch Mike Stern at the 55 Bar weekly. It's also more statistically probable that you'll run into the next generation of these types of musicians. So my opinion is that you can give yourself significantly better odds at success by living in a major music city, though it's not essential. You will have a tough time developing the skill set and acquiring the experience to make it if you live in a city that's smaller than a certain threshold. And there are definitely facets of the music industry where you do need to be in certain locations. Trying to make a living writing country music in Latvia is like hunting tigers in Antarctica. Ultimately, this is a question that I can't answer for anyone. All I can do is offer my experiences and opinions. But I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Where do you live, and what's it like living there as a musician? Have you ever lived elsewhere? Do you want to live elsewhere? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and the biggest of thank yous to everyone who supports my channel through Patreon. That program makes what I do possible. If you're interested in tabs for the music I put out, early access to videos like this one, please consider hitting that link over there and checking it out. Until next time, I'm Samurai Guitarist. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you again soon.